So my personal best was 5.34 until a few weeks ago where I beat it at home with 4.96. 5.31 in competition is insanely lucky for me, and it is my second best time ever. It is also the very first time I have gotten a good solve on a last layer skip. But it's a little debatable whether or not this counts as a last layer skip. I would count it, but there are situations similar to it where you might not say it's a last layer skip. So the cube I used was the Wheilong WRM with PVC coating. That's why it's so shiny. And for those of you wondering about setup, there are slightly stronger magnets in here that I just had laying around. I don't know what strength they are. So if you don't know what the PVC coating does, I have a video about what it is and what it does. My main reason for liking it is I now have better competition averages than before, specifically because the tiny bit of sweat on my hands that causes the cube to feel a little bit stickier, well, now it always feels that way. So I am practicing on what I would feel in competition. All right, enough about the cube. Here's the scramble done with white top and green front. Now I did end up doing red cross, so if you want it to show up as your cross color, then just hold your cross color on the right side as you scramble, and then it will be that. So here's the scramble where I forced the cross to be white, but remember in the actual solve I did red. So here we have 3 cross pieces done already, and red is over here. So it's 3 moves to align it to insert red, and then align the cross at the end. So with those 3 moves, it made it very easy to track what I'm gonna do for the first pair, and that's just gonna be these 2 because they don't move. So if you know how to do these, then try to figure out what the second pair is going to be, and that is these 2, but try to figure out what case it will be when I finish this. So from experience, I know that doing this case results in this corner, just moving back to here like that. And this edge, I'm not totally sure, but I just traced it in inspection, and it does end up back here. So I know that after solving this pair, I will have these 2 set up here. And so that means I already figured out my first 2 pairs. I could have figured out that these 2 would end up being right here, which would have been very helpful in reducing a pause. But anyway, let's just go into this. Solve that, and these 2 set up. So this was all planned in inspection. Then I paused before seeing this because I'm very stupid and kept looking at the left side. I guess I was just really nervous. So did these. Then I had this pair. And this I rotated, and I know that when the 3 edges are on top and there's a corner back here, that corner actually gets preserved as I pair these. So when there's 0 corners oriented on top, I usually don't know how to skip OLL, but if there's 1 corner at least oriented, I know a lot of these cases. And so here, as I was about to insert it, I just took a quick look to see if I know this case, and that's why I had another pause here. I think it was a necessary pause because I didn't know I was going to skip OLL here. So then anyway, I moved it here and inserted it with U2, so L prime U2L. And of course, I did not realize it was going to skip last layer either. I did not see this block because I think I was busy looking on the right side. So like from here, I can't tell it's going to skip OLL. I mean, skip PLL. So insert and then another pause, and there we go. Now I said in the beginning this was like kind of a last layer skip, and the reason for that is because after pairing this, I didn't insert it the normal way. What I did instead was insert it a different way, and that required me to pause. So if it was a pure last layer skip, it would have just been the normal insert. Although this is so close to being like the same speed as the normal insert that it's kind of like a last layer skip. But since I forced the OLL skip by doing something different than usual, then I kind of just skipped PLL. Okay, so it was a really easy case I forced, but also how hard does the case need to be before it stops counting as a skip? For example, if I get this winter variation and I do it like this, it is a bit slower than the regular insert. So would this count as a last layer skip? I don't know. So quick math, last layer skip is 1 in 15,552, which seems like you have to be insanely lucky to get. So this number assumes you only know one way of inserting the last slot. But if you know a bunch of cases to skip OLL, then your chances go way higher. So if you also know the trick I used in this solve, then your chances double. And if you also know like Sledgehammer and a couple other easy ways to skip OLL, you could be getting what kind of counts as a last layer skip every 1,000 solves or so, which is still rare, but not completely unexpected to ever happen. So obviously I'm not saying I didn't get super lucky in the solve. I really did. The cross and first 2 pairs were insanely easy, but just remember that you do have some control over your luck, and the more tricks you know, the more often you kind of get to say you got lucky. Just kidding. Before I sat down, I prayed for a last layer skip and it worked.